All right, welcome everyone. My goal here today is pretty simple. I want to make you a smarter user and, frankly, a better decision maker when it comes to AI. We're not going to get lost in the weeds of complex code or data science. Instead, by the time we're done here, you're going to have a clear mental toolkit to cut right through the hype and start asking the right questions.
So here's our game plan for today. First, we'll talk about the huge shift that makes all of modern AI possible. Then we'll dive into the three main engines that power machine learning. And we're going to wrap up with the one golden rule you absolutely have to know and a super practical checklist you can start using right away. To really get AI, you have to understand this one core idea. It's a complete flip of how we've built software for the last 50 years. It's not about writing rigid instructions. It's all about learning from experience. And this nails the difference perfectly. Think about it. Traditional programming is like following a super strict recipe. It's rigid. If you're missing an ingredient or something unexpected shows up, the whole thing just breaks. But machine learning? That's more like an expert chef who's tasted thousands and thousands of cakes. They don't really need a recipe anymore. They have an intuition for what works. This lets them adapt, improvise, and handle things they've never seen before. And that adaptability, that's the real superpower of machine learning.
Okay, so how does this learning actually happen? Well, let's start with the most common method out there, supervised learning. And the easiest way to think about this is like studying for a huge exam with a giant stack of flashcards.
So here's how it works. You feed the AI a question on one side of a flashcard and the correct answer on the other. And you do this millions, sometimes even billions of times. Each time, the AI takes a guess, checks its answer, and makes a tiny adjustment. It does this over and over and over. And eventually, it gets so good at spotting the patterns that it can give you the right answer for a flashcard it has never ever seen before.
Now, this type of learning really comes in two main flavors. On the left, you've got classification. This is all about sorting things into buckets. Is this email spam or not spam? Is that picture a cat or a dog? The answer is always a category. Then on the right, you've got regression, and that's all about predicting a number on the scale. What will this house sell for? What's the temperature going to be tomorrow? The answer is a specific value. And look, this isn't some science fiction, far-off tech. You are using this stuff every single day. Your email spam filter, it was trained on billions of emails that were labeled spam or not spam. When Siri or Alexa understands what you're saying, it's because it was trained on thousands of hours of speech recordings that were matched up with their text transcripts. This is the engine behind so many tools we just take for granted now.
All right, so our next engine, unsupervised learning, it's a little different. It's less about predicting an answer and a lot more about discovery. You could think of it as the detective of the AI world.
Imagine I just hand you a giant, messy box full of Legos. There are no instructions, there's no picture on the box of what you're supposed to build, and I just tell you, find the patterns and organize this. That's unsupervised learning. You're not given any right answers or labels. The AI's only job is to sift through all that raw data and find the natural groupings, the hidden structures, all by itself. It's basically about finding order in the chaos.
And the patterns this thing uncovers can be incredibly valuable. A marketing team might use it to find totally new customer segments they never even knew existed, just based on buying behavior. Your bank uses it to spot anomalies, transactions that don't fit your usual pattern, to detect potential fraud. And Spotify? It uses this to group songs by their actual sound waves, so it can recommend a song that feels just like the one you finished listening to.
And that brings us to our third and final engine, reinforcement learning. This is the one that's closest to how you, me, and even animals learn, just through pure trial and error.
The best way to think about this is like teaching a dog a new trick. You don't give the dog a textbook on how to sit, right? No, you give a command. If it does something close to what you want, you give it a treat. That's a reward. If it doesn't, it gets nothing. And over time, the dog just figures out the exact sequence of actions that leads to the most treats. The AI agent, in this case, does the exact same thing. It tries stuff, gets rewards or penalties, and slowly but surely learns the best strategy to get the best possible score.
And its applications are just incredibly powerful. This is the exact technique that was used to create AlphaGo, the AI that taught itself to beat the world's best Go players. It's how we teach robots to do delicate physical things like walking or grasping an object. And this is a big one. It's how modern chatbots get fine-tuned. There's a technique called reinforcement learning from human feedback, or RLHF. That's where real humans give its answers a thumbs up or a thumbs down, literally rewarding it for being more helpful and, well, more human. So, we've covered the three engines. Now we've come to the single most important concept in this entire explainer. Seriously, if you remember nothing else from our time today, please remember this. The performance of any AI system comes down to one thing: the quality of its data.
This is an old saying in computing, but it has never been more true than it is for machine learning. You can have the most brilliant algorithm in the world, but if you feed it terrible data, you will get terrible results every single time. The algorithm is just the engine. The data is the fuel.
And here's why this is so critical. The AI model will faithfully and without any criticism learn and reproduce every single pattern that exists in its training data. So if your data is brilliant and insightful, the model will be too. But, and this is a big but, if your data is biased or flawed or full of errors, the model will replicate those biases and flaws with perfect mathematical precision. It is a mirror, for better and for worse.
So these are the kinds of problems you have to be watching out for. Is the data biased? For example, if you train a hiring model on 50 years of company history where only men were promoted, guess what? It will learn that pattern and only recommend men for promotion. Is the data even up to date? A model trained on data from before 2020 has absolutely no idea what our world looks like now. Does the data even represent the real-world situation where you're going to use the AI? So from now on, whenever an AI system seems to be failing, your first question should never be, what's wrong with the algorithm? It should always be, what's wrong with the data?
Okay, so let's pull all of this together into something you can actually use. Here is a simple checklist you can run through in your head anytime you're evaluating an AI solution or just trying to figure out why it's behaving the way it is.
Here it is, just 3 simple steps. First, identify the learning type. Is it running on flashcards? Is it finding hidden patterns? Or is it learning from rewards? Knowing the engine tells you what it's good at and what its limits are. Second, question the data source. Where did this data actually come from? Who collected it? What were their incentives? And third, assess for quality and bias. Does this data actually look like the real world where this AI is going to be used? This simple framework, I promise you, will immediately sharpen the quality of your judgment. So, we've taken a quick look under the hood at the core mechanics of how AI really works, and I just want to leave you with this question. Now that you can see the engine, now that you understand how these learning systems actually work, what challenge or opportunity inside your business looks different to you now? What's one problem you're going to reevaluate with this new lens?